This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you in part by Telex, the interconnection company, owners and operators of 56 Marietta, the most network-rich co-location facility in the Southeast. Tag TV and Tag Radio. Technology now has a voice of innovation and information. Get it on www.tagtvonline.com. Attention entrepreneurs. That's right, you with the big idea. Would $1 million or maybe even $2 million in angel or venture funding help you transform that vision into the big money-making business of the future? Problem is, most entrepreneurs haven't got a clue on how to raise early-stage funding. Sure, you know your business, even how to run a bottom-line profitable enterprise. But when it comes to venture capital, what most entrepreneurs don't have is a disciplined process for creating what is needed for successful capitalization. Enter CapVenture, a unique training program that will educate and equip you, be ye entrepreneur or early-stage company, for smarter, more predictable results in capitalization of your business. Greetings, everyone. It's Tuesday, June 23rd, and this is Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. The process of capital raising. Yes, big thinker, there is a process, and you can gain tips, peer and mentor relationships, and even have the opportunity to pitch dozens of investors at the premier venture funding event in Atlanta. But it all starts with CapVenture, and what you're about to learn from today's Tech Talk. Tino speaks with David Sung, Georgia Tech's Advanced Technology Development Center, ATDC, Venture Catalyst and Seed Fund Manager. CapVenture is a powerhouse program presented by the ATDC and TAG's Entrepreneurial Society. It begins weekly from August 25th and concludes September 29th. David has been involved with technology startup companies as both an entrepreneur himself as well as a venture investor. As an entrepreneur, he held roles from engineering to CEO, resulting in 2 IPOs and 2 acquisitions. With venture experience formerly as a managing director at HIG Ventures right here in Atlanta and partner at Commonwealth Capital in Boston, David has a unique perspective in advising technology entrepreneurs from how to run a business to how to raise the capital to make it all happen. So you're looking for money. Well, get ready to make some notes on just where to go and who to contact as Tech Talk takes an insider look at CapVenture, the process of capital raising, as Tino speaks with ATDC Seed Capital Fund Manager David Sung.
David, thanks for joining me on Tech Talk.
Hi, Tino. How are you?
Good, good. The CapVenture piece has been something that TAG and ATDC have partnered with for a few years. So we think it's a great program and wanted you to help bring it to life because there's still time for some of our listeners to get on board here and apply to what has become a very competitive process. So I think the best place to start is to talk about what CapVenture is. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, Tino. CapVenture, it's a unique training program designed for CEOs and entrepreneurs, especially those who are raising their first capital round of money. It really combines classroom education with practical application. It's all under the supervision and guidance of folks who have been there and done that, those who have already raised money for their own companies. The program covers a number of areas. On the educational side, it talks about the types of funding sources and the differences between them. There are fundamental differences between venture capitalists and angel investors. It also covers assisting companies with their business model and financing strategies. We also assess individual companies and make recommendations on the appropriate forms of capital they should seek to go after. We also discuss the funding process and the timing it takes to actually close. There are also opportunities for companies to present to potential investors, so really take what we learned in class and apply it directly to funding opportunities. And then ultimately these entrepreneurs, these CEOs, gain valuable relationships that will extend well beyond this program. So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, so it's just all in all a great 5-week program that will go well beyond 5 weeks for these entrepreneurs.
Yeah, we'll come back to it, but I think it's really making a difference for some of the companies that have participated, and that's what this is all about. So one of the key components of this program is the participants are not alone. There's a lot of support, and certainly both ATDC and TAG believe in the idea that, if you will, it takes a community to build and support some of our young companies. So talk a bit about who else is involved other than the participants.
Yeah, we have a great lineup. Every year we invite a number of CEOs and CFOs who have experience with success in raising capital, and this year is no different than former years. Starting with Mike Eckert, who is a former CEO for Weather Channel. He signed on board. We also have Doug Hadaway, current CFO for Manufacturing.com. Jeff McConnell, who is actively involved with startups and entrepreneurs in our community. He's part of Capital Lounge and Angel Lounge. We have a current startup CEO, Mark Morrell, CEO for Whoop Mobile. Blake Patton, who is currently in EIR here at ATDC, and he's formerly CEO for iCobo. Karen Robinson, who is a former CEO for Prime Point Media and very active with Startup Chicks, a startup organization here in town. Gordon Rogers, he's current managing director at Vernon Bridge Ventures, and he's formerly the founder of connect2books.org. We also have Lou Schwartz, current CEO for Multicast Media. Mark Van Brennessy, he's current president of PureWire, formerly at Cipher Trust. Ron Verne, he's former CEO for Sage Software, a very large enterprise software company here in town in Atlanta. And Jamie Barton, he was former CEO for EasyPrints. That was a long list of folks.
That's a great list.
Yeah, it's a fantastic list. And, of course, with this great list of coaches we have working with startups, we also have the ATDC staff, which is myself, Lance Weatherby, and Mary Leary, all actively involved throughout the 5-week process.
Now, just for our listeners, those that might have whet their appetite in terms of potential for them to participate in this program. You have a great lineup of coaches, and what happens is that the coaches actually will work with one or two of the participants for the entire 5 weeks. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, and so they really, even behind the scenes, I know that some of the coaches over the past years have spent a considerable amount of time helping our participants through the process and again to become stronger, more ready to not only raise money but just build their business. So that's an excellent lineup. And again, if you haven't registered, and we'll tell you at the end of this program how to go about registering, but it's something that if you're in that stage, you won't want to miss. And I guess that's a good segue into what stage is that. So maybe, David, who's this for? Because last year I know we had maybe nearly 100 applications for this, and we take about 15 companies. I think that's still around our goal this year. So when the dust settles, who will these fit? What will the profile be on these 15 companies? Yeah,
as mentioned before, the CapVenture is really tailored for those who are looking for their first institutional round of money. First institutional round of money used to be first institutional round from venture capitalists, but these days it can be from angel investors as well. But the program is really for anyone who anticipates raising capital in the near future. It could be first-time entrepreneurs. It could be folks who have raised money in the past who are looking for a refresher on what investors are looking for. Certainly, climate has changed a bit, as you know, Tino.
Yes.
And it's a little bit more difficult, to be frank, in this environment. But as anything else, everything is cyclical, and anticipate funding environment to improve as we're seeing the economy improve as well.
Absolutely. And this program has been here for a few years, as we've both talked about, and there's been some good results from the program. Can you point to some of the companies that have gone through the program, and have there been some that have actually now raised money in this since they went to the program? Not that was probably the only I'm sure they would say it wasn't the only variable, but did we have some that have had that sort of success?
So this is actually our third year of CapVenture, and on average, about a third of the companies that participate do go through and raise successfully capital. In the past, right off the top of my head, I can think of companies such as PureWire, a security company that's based out of Buckhead, I believe. Founders came out of Cipher Trust, learned a tremendous amount out of CapVenture. Mike Van Brunnensee is one of our biggest supporters here at CapVenture. Another company I can think of is a company just recently closed some money in the past month, Solo Health. Bart Foster.
Right.
I believe he raised upwards of $1 million, again, about a month ago. And then WorkBits. WorkBits is another company that had raised a very significant amount of money, and I believe in the past quarter. So companies have raised anywhere between about $1 million, sub-$1 million, upwards of $10 million, graduates out of CapVenture, and I like to think that we're a major part of that. Clearly, it's not all CapVenture. You really have to have great ideas and great entrepreneurs, but certainly when you have those foundations, just polishing up and knowing more about fundraising and fundraising environment, CapVentures brings a lot to the table for these folks.
Well, I know that that one of the components of the program, as you'd mentioned before, is to sharpen that message, get that elevator pitch or that presentation pitch down to something that they can go out into the community. And you had mentioned that there's actually a pretty significant event on the last day, maybe we can call it the graduation day of the program. I recall over 50 people in the audience last year listening to some of the graduates of the program making their presentation. So that seems to be an important part of this, and maybe it tees up the opportunity, because you talked about 1/3 of the companies about getting funding after participating in the program, which is, I would think, far higher than those that did not participate in the program.
That's right.
So maybe to wrap it up, I think talk about a little bit about when the program starts and what the schedule looks like thus far, and then we can wrap it up with how people can register.
Sure. The program starts on August 25th. That's a Tuesday, and it lasts between 6 p.m. and 9:30. The first half is, again, educational information in the program. Second half is really spending one-on-one time with your coaches, your assigned coaches. Now, the program lasts for 5 weeks. It's every Tuesday, but there is a break. There is no CapVenture Labor Day week. You had mentioned for folks who want to register right now. Last Friday was early registration deadline. The next registration deadline, which is the last one, is July 15th. To register, go to, tagonline.org/CapVenture, or you can go to ATDC.org/CapVenture. The fee you apply, and then hopefully you'll get accepted to the program. Registration for the application and then acceptance is $399 a course. If you registered and you got accepted and you registered last Friday, there's a $50 discount to that.
Okay, so for all those on the listening to this program today, make sure you go online to either ATDC or TAG and register for the program. I know that the reviewers, who would be primarily the ATDC leadership, will take a close look at your credentials, and they'll give you some feedback whether you're eligible for the program this particular year or not. But you won't know unless you try. So with that, David, thank you very much for joining me on Tech Talk, and thanks for your leadership in this important program.
Thank you, Tino, and we're looking forward to a great event this year.